I just really want to win. Maybe I should just, I don't know, get into model trains or something. Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs on YouTube. Goofy entrance there from Dave, that's me in the garage, Area 51. Got some paperwork on the air ride stuff. Last couple of videos been just trying to get this air ride stuff installed. Hopefully we'll get it in completely this go around and fix a couple of little things I did wrong last week, like just wear a bit of wiring and stuff. So let's get at it. Okay, aforementioned paperwork. Now, I keep calling this system an air ride technologies system that I'm putting in the Area 51. And that's because technically it is, but air ride technologies got either bought out or changed their name to RideTech, bought out by RideTech, or changed their name. I'm not sure which it was. I think they might have got bought out. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But anyway, after doing a bit of interneting, actually ages ago, I forgot I'd done this. I had downloaded this PDF file on the AirPod and Level Pro and Ride Pro 2 because it was the closest thing I could find to what I've got. And as I think it turns out, it is what I've got. Well, part of it anyway. Now, if we look in page 1, this Ride Pro 2, where I've got it circled, it says Ride Pro 2 uses the pressure sensors only. That's what I've got, is this system here, whereas the Level Pro, which seems to be probably more common now, has these kind of mechanical sensors on all 4 corners, whereas mine is air pressure sensors. So I'm pretty sure that's kind of what I'm kind of running. I mean, the dash panel looks the same, the little computer looks the same from what I can gather glancing through it. All of this stuff, I'm not sure if that's the right diagram, but you know, my circuit diagrams for wiring and stuff all pretty much looks the same. So, and having done a little bit of YouTubing during the week as well, just I was a bit kind of dubious about how I'd run my main power, well, how I was planning to run my main power and where I was going to put the fuse and stuff. Turns out the fuse should be as close to the battery as possible, so I'm going to start off by undoing that little bit that I'd done, reroute the main power cable back up the back. I'll probably have to put an eyelet on up the back and terminate that. And yeah, so I'll get that pulled out and then we'll figure out how we're going to route that main power up the front or down the back from the front, because I'll be working that way this time around, I reckon. Okay, so if you remember last week, I ran this big fuse link up the front, and I decided I was going to put the fuse here, but yeah, as I said earlier, just after a bit of interneting from the pros, and this should be closer to the battery. So I'm going to disconnect that again, and I'm also, while I'm at it, I'm going to disconnect this compressor. I'm going to run just the one to start with, just to just so I don't load up the system. I mean, it's only a little tank, so it shouldn't really need 2, but so I might run one and have one kind of as a backup, kind of a fail-safe sort of thing, so I can you know, if one of them burns out or you know, something happens, I've got a emergency sort of backup in that one, ideally. I'm still a bit worried about that fitting, whether it's actually going to hold air. It moves quite a lot. It could just be a bit flogged out. I'm not sure if I have a spare or something I can put in there. I may need to try and track down another kind of hose from the compressor to the tank for that anyway, so that might leak from the very get-go. So I'm going to get that out of here. That's my main power cable up there, and I'm going to take off one of these to start with. Okay, so got it back out. Let's get this back out of here. Now, I've been pondering as also about where to run this power cable as to not run it anywhere near my Holly stuff, because apparently the Holly stuff's super sensitive, like everything these days, to you know, like electrical interference, electrical noise and stuff like that, which is, you know, a bit of a nuisance when you got a whole ton of shit that you got to try and run through a vehicle, you know. So I'll show you what I'm thinking. I'm gonna have to clean all this out. I've got all this crap in here. But if you remember back when we were doing all wiring stuff, I still got to tidy all this up. I don't want to tidy it up until I make sure everything's tickety boo. I've got this grommet here, which is all just for power. Now, up the big grommet up on the firewall as well is for the kind of ECU stuff, like the electronic wizardry stuff. I should be alright running my compressor power in the same kind of route as all my other power, because it's just power, it's not electronic signals, I think. I don't really want to run a whole separate grommet and hole in the firewall for it, so I'm going to feed it through there with this stuff, which is just, you know, my, you know, main power for the Holly system, which according to the Holly system paperwork, it needs to be, you know, separate from all this stuff, which is all the brain stuff, you know. So I'm gonna do that. So I'll start with this, feed it through this hole. Don't really like this big ugly red cable in the engine bay though, it's the only thing. Hang on, might need two hands for this. Yep, there we go. I want it to get it. I've got to get through my cable holder. So let's do that again. Alright, I'll pull that through. Untangle it, bring it through its own. What? Now, I was thinking, should I even mount this fuse somewhere solid so it's not kind of just wiggling around in the breeze? I can attach it up onto my post, no problem. I'm wondering whether I loom this up just so it doesn't look like that, because I don't like the look of that big red cable. The starter cable, one thing, this not so much. So I might just quickly take that up, and then we'll figure out where we're going to put all that. Know what I'm saying? Okay, so this is just that fibrous kind of tape which I've been using all through the engine bay, like this stuff, and it's purely in this situation for aesthetics. Like, I just don't want this red kind of ricer looking audio cable in my engine bay the way it is. So just quickly kind of dress it up so it disappears a little bit. Still going to have that ugly kind of fuse panel, little fuse fitting in there, but that is what it is. Once I know this is going to be all good, I might mount it properly, like mount the fuse up on the inner fender, just put some little rivets in there and screw it on. You know what I mean? It just looks a bit more kind of period, I guess. We do the last stretch. Trains. We still have steam trains in New Zealand. Yeah, little known facts, but yeah, they just run up and down the steam line, like carrying coal and freight and stuff. Just kidding, we don't really, other than steam museums. Alright, so got that hooked up onto there. A lot of people don't like this style of battery terminal, but I don't really have a problem with them. I mean, yeah, if you had a permanently fused, sort of soldered, crimped kind of scenario, it would probably be better. But then all these peripherals are all kind of bolted on anyway, and yeah, I mean, so a lot of folk get like batteries with top and side posts as well, but honestly, I haven't seen side post batteries in New Zealand, like not on the shelf type stuff. Seems to be real common in the US of A. On the YouTube, I see a lot of people with them. But yeah, like I say, not a lot here. Kiwi guys, let me know if you've seen them here. I don't really recall it, but I've only started thinking about it lately, so I haven't really been looking, if that makes sense. So anyway, so that's that sitting in there. I haven't zip tied anything or anything like that yet until we get it run where it needs to go. So that's the next step. Now, actually I might clear some workspace in the car. Yeah, probably not clean it out, but maybe I could. Anyway, I'll get my shit together and we'll be back. Alright, so got my main power cable out, so I'm going to cut that down about there, leave myself a little bit of extra room. I can always sort of tuck it in. Committed now. These cutters might be a little small for this gauge of cable. Might be alright. I'm careful. Yeah, it's a kniffy. Go old school. Is that enough? Hopefully. Nope. We actually want a bit more than that. Where's my eyelet thingy? It's a bit on the big side, but it'll be alright. Unless I do heaps and double it. Gotcha. If I fold that back on itself and then put it in my eye and then solder it. Yeah. Might be alright. Put some heat shrink on. Is that going to be big enough? No. Oh, come on. Sometimes it's the little things that just take all the time, like opening up this piece of heat shrink so I can get it. Oh. Gonna put 2 bits on. I'm gonna double the heat shrink on this. It's not the greatest heat shrink, it's a bit on the thin side. I wonder if I should give that a bit of a tinning up the solder. I might get something to put under here because I'm going to dribble solder everywhere on this. Could do with 3 hands. Maybe I'll just put it on. I really want to sort of tin it. I don't know if this will work, but we can try. Screwdriver or something. Okay, so just gotta wait for this to cool off before I can put it down. Be back in a bit. Okay, so cooled down enough to handle. Second layer. Doesn't want to get up over the thing. Oh, there we go, that should do us. Yeah, a bit much. Just like that. Right, so now I can bolt that back on there. Like so. It's a bit tricky. Yeah. Okay, that's good to go. Okay, so back into the paperwork. Now, this is what I was wondering about that solenoid last week, whether I had to ground that. Sorry, just clicking the door shut. Whether I had to ground that to the, you know, a body ground or chassis ground or something. So looking at this, we have our main fuse going to they're running 2 relays because they're running 2 pumps. They're probably 40 amp relays, whereas that solenoid should be 80 amps. But I'm only going to be running 1 compressor for now anyway. So, but looking at this, it's sort of on here it's orange and grey. On mine it was orange and blue because the wire had been extended. So they're going to the relays and, you know, off to the pump from battery sort of thing. So that's kind of how I've got it set up now. So I don't need to put a ground on that solenoid according to this. So we'll see. If it doesn't work, then we might need to. Shut up, birds. So next up, I guess that's pretty much everything down the back now taken care of, like in the trunk or the boot. So I need my control panel actually, which is in that back room mounted in my console. So I have to go and fish that out, but we can have a look at running this other stuff as well. That clean-up made more problems for myself. Clean up. Yeah, cleaned up a little bit, but just kind of dumped everything outside the car for now. Well, not everything. So all of this, as we talked about last week, that's my control panel thing, which will end up in the console up around there. So we've got way too much wire. And this red and black, my red is my 12 volt key, my black goes to my light switch of all things. So I think that's just to light up the control panel when you turn the lights on. So I mean, you could probably put that on 12 volt keyed and have it lit up all the time, but I don't really see the sense in that. Now I can't remember what my plan was for wiring for. I was gonna have the valve block switched to a switch on the shifter, because in New Zealand here we have a regulation with our low volume cert for air ride systems that you can't operate them over a certain speed, or they have to be stationary. It might have changed, I'm not 100% sure. So some people put like an oil pressure switch sort of thing. When you get it to a certain oil pressure, it cuts the power to it or some shit, but I don't know how to do that. So I was just going to have it set up so you could the valve block was only powered up when it was in park. I know years ago people used to put them on the neutral park switch, but technically you could be doing 100k down the road, throw it into neutral and slam it. I'm not going to do that, that's just silly. But it kind of was happening, I guess, so that's why they kind of changed the rule around it. Somehow they can be put on a speed sensor of some sort, so if they're going over 10 kilometers an hour you can't operate the up and downs and stuff. For now I'm not going to do any of that. If I have to, I can do it later. It will mean disassembling the console and all that kind of crap. I could potentially run wires for it now and have them all sort of feed back up the back in case I need them, which I probably should, and that way I can kind of cut power to the valve blocker. But I wanted to leave the main computer system live. I only want to cut power to the actual solenoids, the valve air solenoids, because I want the main system to be live, so you know at all times what pressures in your four corners and stuff like that. So actually, yeah, that's probably what I should do. I should run my wiring for that, just so it's there, so if I have to pull it up, do it up, I then can, you know, basically just cut a wire, put a joint in, add this switch in if I get the switch all kind of dialed in now. It's probably the smart money, save me work later if they call me out on it. They may do, they may not, I don't know, but yeah, it's a bit grey. But anyway, we might do that first. I'll put my shifter switch in, make sure that's all adjusted up properly, and then we can run the wires down the back for that. And then we'll start looking at hooking all this in, all that gobbledygook there. Okay, so this is it's a momentary switch that I was intending to use. I just bought that locally, I think. No, it's a couple of years ago. I kind of tinkered with all of this. So I'm sort of see if I've got enough wire to get me where I need to go. And I want a kind of slightly heavier gauge. I don't know whether I have actually. No, that's not going to be enough. I have a lighter gauge which would get me there, but it's probably not ideal unless I started adding relays, and it's probably the right way to go, is like relaying it and all sorts of stuff, but then I've still got to run power to that relay. So I don't know, like, I don't know. So that's not enough wire. I do have to go out and get some speaker wire, because I want to run speaker wire up the back at this point before I put my little sill trays on, my little wire tray covers on. I think I need to get screws for those as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah, we might go and get the switch panel, the control panel thing that is in amongst all of this junk. Crappy $30 welding helmet nearly blinded me. Yeah, so that's it there, nice and covered in dust, awesome. So I need a little Allen key to get that out. So let's go and get a little Allen key. Go. Yeah. Alright, so got my control panel. She's a bit It's a bit dusty. I might need to give it a bit of a clean. Put my little aluminium fascia thing back on, so that's all taken care of. Allen key put away like a tidy Kiwi. Yeah, I'll just give this a bit of a clean. I'm not going to clean that nicely with. She's been sitting there in that back room for a couple of years, so there's probably overspray and all sorts of stuff on there. Then after that we need to route the wiring to go to the light switch. Do I have to take the light switch out again? That's actually a, that's actually a headache. Okay, so got these just kind of like tucked in up there. I'm gonna have to find a way to kind of pin all these back behind up here neatly, and then when I kind of eventually build a toe kick panel thing, they'll get, you know, dressed up in there as well. I pulled too much through. Maybe I need a little bit more slack. Yeah, maybe give me a little bit more slack there for now. I can always bunch it up and coil it up like I have up here with the extra blue cable, because I've got my control panel that's coming out down there, so I'll plug that in. That just plugs in the back there, like so. Like so. It's a bit dark in here, I can't see what I'm doing. Like so. Yeah, so that's, it goes that way. So I'm just gonna put that there for now. I am thinking now of relocating this little cluster of relays, because I had problems with my starter relay. I thought, you know, if I'm having issues with my starter relay on the side of the road, I don't want to be pulling the console apart to get to it, so I'm going to probably pull these up and maybe remount them, you know, swing them up somewhere and remount them somewhere else, just in that same vicinity under the dash, so if I have to, I can be laying on the floor pulling relays and twiggling wires and things like that. But I just decided, yeah, after that little issue with that relay, I thought, relays aren't what they used to be, you know, like they used to be pretty dependable and good, and now they're a little bit not dependable and not so good a lot of the time. So you can have a relay go bad, quite common, strangely enough, like everything else. But we will still have some wiring feeding through under here. It just won't be kind of all of this that feeds these three relays, so I'm not quite sure where I'm exactly going to put them. I was thinking of maybe, I've got the ECU sitting here, the console comes to around here. Again, I've got to get in here and tidy all of this wiring up. At the moment everything's just kind of in there. I will get back in here with about 4,000 cable ties and tie it all up, bunch it all up and tuck it all up, and so that might be when we go about doing that at the same time. Again, I'm not sure exactly where I want to put it, because I don't want it too much in the way if I'm trying to deal with certain issues. Like, I'm not sure if my speedo's working, but I can't remember seeing it when I was test driving it, which I can't check that now because it's laid on its ass and I have to get the air ride sorted out before I can do that. But to get that done, pretty much all I've got to do is hook those up, I think. Okay, so I have run my wires over down behind the fuse panel. I'm going to have to take this light switch out again and see if I can tap into that somewhere. I know this is a bit tricky to get out from memory. I could unplug it. Wasn't as tricky as I thought it was going to be. Alright. Can't remember which wire goes where. I might need to find the wiring diagram and see what colour's what. There is a spare terminal in there, so I wonder if that could be useful. I might unplug this actually. Where's the button gone? There it is. Got a screwdriver. Not exactly easy to get out. Okay, so where's my spare terminal is? That one. What is that? Is that one there? Might do some probing, do some testing and see what it does. Number 7. Okay, so been looking through my encyclopedia of paperwork here. Just looking at the colour codes. I couldn't remember what was what. We have like power going to our switch. We have park light power and then headlight power, dip switch stuff and running lights and all that kind of stuff. I'm gonna take my power feed to my dash lights, which is this grey wire here, which is that one there. So I'm going to depin that and maybe pry that open and hook in there. That extra terminal, it's got power at different times. It's something to do with the park lights turning off when, yeah, it turns the park lights off when the headlights come on, that kind of setup. So yeah, didn't realize it could do that, but yeah, so it's that terminal there, and according to some other bit of paper I found, it's not written on here. It just, yeah, you can have it set up so they yeah, when you kind of turn your park lights on, they little ones come on, and then you turn your headlights on, they go on and the little ones go off. That's what that does. Interesting. Didn't know you could do that, but I don't know why you'd want to. I suppose, no, I don't know. But anyway, I'll get a little screwdriver, a little jeweler's screwdriver, and see if I can pull that grey wire out and hopefully pick it apart so I can add this black wire into it. I have to probably get a new spade terminal thingammy. I didn't really want to do it that way, but I was hoping to be able to jump into that spare terminal, but ain't gonna happen. Be able to just push that up. I'm not sure where the pin is on this, the little tab. That might be it. Nope. And this one. Oh, yeah, we should. Ah, there it is. Alright, so I need a new one of them. That's a factory crimp. That's way too neat to be one of mine. Nip that off. Expose some wire. Now my black wire. Take about that there. Yep. Just gonna twist them together for a bit, just to hold them while I can get this organised. Now, I never remember how to do this properly, so bear with me. That goes back in there. Just like that. Need another zip tie. I'll zip tie that together. Come on. Zip. Just like that. Now put it back into the hole. This is a bit. Maybe should have paid more attention to how it came out. Actually, if I push the button, pull that out. Why is that not sticking in? The button's stuck. Where is the button? Yeah. Can't do anything once. I have to do everything at least twice. Even dropping everything. Okay. Why is that not? Oh dear, here we go. Give us a minute, I just got to figure out what's going on with this. Oh, you're kidding me. It was working, and I took the thing back out. I took it out about 20 times, and then I put it back in there, and there, and it doesn't want to work anymore. So, take it out again. Damn it. Now it's going in there, so wrangle it in with that in there. It's a bit trickier, but it's not impossible. Oh, now this doesn't want to. There we go. Chip and paint. Yep. Okay, so that little job of putting that one wire into there is done now. Hopefully it works. Probably should have left it out while I tested everything, but I didn't. So I just got to hook up this 12 volt key, which I'm thinking I'm running out of sort of circuit space. This is basically what my sort of fuse board looks like. And the only thing, I've got lots of double ups going into a lot of these things now, so the only thing, I've got one thing on the accessory sort of side of the circuit is on the radio, so I will hook that into the radio circuit rather than one of the other accessory circuits. I can't remember what I've got tapped into everything now. I did start writing it on this mangled bit of paper, but I lost this bit of paper for a while, so I kind of haven't updated it. Boot wire, blah blah blah. Got tiny little writing, gauges, green, brake switch. Yeah, so I'll put it on the radio for now and see what happens. So I'll get that done. It's a bit hard to film because it's kind of up under there and it's a bit of a mish. Okay, so that's me 12 volt keyed for my Air-Eyed Technologies brain, hooked into that radio circuit there. I can't even know what size fuse is on the radio, but it's probably all here accessories. It's all on a 20 amp fuse. It should be alright. It's only just a trigger wire for the solenoid thingy. Disco. I think that's pretty much it. I wanted it on an accessory circuit so I could turn it onto the accessories and not have the ECU boot up at the same time, just for initially anyway. Like once it's all, I'm happy with everything, then it should be alright. I hope. Anyway, I might go and have a coffee and have a little stew over this before I actually try switching anything on. Okay, so I don't know whether I recorded my last little statement. GoPro doing GoPro things. I guess I was going to go and have a coffee, but I'm kind of really curious as to whether this works. Put some power to that. I wonder if I should use that Schrader valve and fill up the air tank first it might be a good idea. Fill the air tank up, that way the compressors don't have to work as hard on the initial startup, you know. Move that out of the way. Give it a try. Just filled it up. I've got like 85 pounds in that in the tank at the moment. Can't hear any distinctive hissing noises, but that's not to say it's not leaking somewhere. Oh yeah. A little psst out of that, I think. So that probably is going to leak that hose. But anyway, we'll turn the key onto the accessory position. See what happens. Nothing. Oh. Compressor kicked on, so that's a good thing. Nothing on my display though. Okay, so I turned the key back off. It got up to 120 pounds on the gauge. So there's 120 psi in that tank at the moment, and I can't remember what my relief valve is set to, what the overflow kind of, I can't remember what it's called, pressure release thing is, and I don't know what it's supposed to charge up to. Well, I don't know, because the gauge didn't display. I don't know whether whether the computer is controlling the compressor or not. It should be. It shouldn't get a signal to fire unless the computer's telling it to. That little box up the back there. So I might have to do a little bit of digging and find out what kind of pressure they kind of do get up to. I do think there's a leak somewhere. I think that gauge is dropping. So I mean, if that fitting there is leaking, I'm a bit scared to touch it in case it goes kaboom and blows my arm off or something. I might have a quick look see in here. It's weird, nothing on that display whatsoever. What's the gauge saying now? So it's sitting up at 130. Yeah, I'm a bit wary to do anything because I can't. It's not working how I envisaged it to work. So we'll go and do a little bit of interneting and a bit of reading. I think figure out what it should be kind of ramping up to. But yeah, nothing on the display, so there's a problem with either the display or my wiring of the display thing. I'll check all my plugs and I'll check it's all plugged in properly and all that kind of stuff, but I'll go and have a coffee while I'm doing. Okay, so I had done a little bit of research, went through some old emails as well on all the fittings and stuff I bought. This release valve here should be 160 psi, and from what I can gather, I can't find anything specific, accurate, other than AI responses. The system should shut the compressor off at 150 psi. I think I let it get up to, I don't know, 120 or something like that, and it has actually dropped back. So I've got a leak somewhere. Not surprising. I suspect it's probably that fitting on that spare compressor. So I'm kind of, still don't know why the display's not working. I'll check that it's all plugged in properly. It's probably got something to do with me messing with the wiring and stuff. I need to check that fuse. And the fuse is intact. Could be my ground isn't good enough, wherever that is. I'm not even sure where I grounded that. That's the main power there, I think. That's the ground for that compressor. Grounded it onto there, I think. Yeah, I did. So that's the ground for the ECU. Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if my wiring job on that display harness is not the greatest, or whether there's something wrong with the whole system, but who knows at this point. Electrical stuff, it's such a thing. I wonder if I should let the compressor go and see if it shuts off for a start, and then I can troubleshoot from there, I guess. Okay, so the compressor just shut off at 140, bang on the money, so that's alright. I don't know when it decides it switches back on again, but still nothing on the display. Push the buttons, it does nothing, doesn't switch on. Oh, I've got a broken wire. Oh, look at that. That might explain it. That's a red wire too. So well, I'll dissect this and investigate. Okay, I don't think this is one of my joins actually. Blame it on someone else. I'm just going to resolder it. Hopefully this is my problem. Well, there's a big clump of solder on there. I might have to desolder it a little bit so I can get some heat shrink on there. Move all this paperwork. Clock. Soldering iron warming up yet? Slowly. I just gotta wait for that to warm up. Weird position, I got the hoover of a shake on. Stop it. God. Hang on, I've got to get repositioned so I'm not sitting on this nerve. It's a little bit better. Alright, now, I'm going to bind those together. I'm going to put this soldering iron somewhere where it doesn't burn me or anything else. Open that up a little bit. This thing ain't that great for the finer wire now. It's a bit kind of bent at doing bigger wires and stuff. That might do us. Where's my solder at? Try and get into a position where I'm not going to shake like a shaky thing. Oh, come on. Might be alright. Oh yeah, should be all good. Is there anything else dodgy looking in here? There's another join there. I wonder why they were tapped into. My join's way up there, so hopefully this is it. Plug that back in. Yeah, I'm going to unplug that soldering iron and hook the battery back up. Okay, the test. Ooh, we have display. Plugged in properly. It fell out. That should be it now. We've got partial success. Now, out of the four corners, the front I can bring up and down, the right rear I can bring up and down, the left I can, hear that? It can go down, it won't go up. So there's another problem potentially with the wiring. Might have a cold solder or something, or broken wire again. Where to start looking for that, I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, so it'll be in this cable somewhere, I think, unless there's a bad button on this. I haven't figured out any of the programming and stuff yet. Just been looking at the static pressures and having a look at the A-arms. I've kind of roughly with about sort of 70 psi in the front. Seems to be, you know, a fairly good sort of place to be. I don't know why it sort of fluctuates, and mind you, it is pressure in the line, so that'll fluctuate entirely, but I don't know why this little graph thing here ends up like that. What happens when you do that? Nothing. Buttons aren't that sensitive. I wonder what happens when I get out. Oh yeah. So, yeah, I can lift the front off the ground and I can lift one corner off the ground, but I can't get this corner here off the ground, which is a bit of a pain. So I think I need to creaking for maybe do a bit of an investigating into my wiring and that again, try and figure out which wires are potentially broken. I don't know how I'm going to do that now. Do I need to take all this out and take that big cable out and sit there with a multimeter? Push that down. Crackling my bulb. Yeah, it's definitely got a bit of a leak somewhere. Don't think it's in the actual bag, so I'd say it's in the tank area, because it keeps dropping down and kicking the old compressor on. So we'll shut her down for now, and I'll do a little bit of, what do you call it, testing. Actually, I'll turn the ignition on. I just want to see what voltage is going to say on my gauge. 11.9. Yeah, man, that's sort of punishing the old battery. So that means the Holly probably won't like this very much. I'll probably need to before I try and start the car again, do a bit of a recharge on the battery just so I've got good voltage on the old Holly next time I go to start it. So did I make any notes on my color code diagram on this? All these bits of paper here was what I was using when I was extending those wires and working out all the switching and stuff. Oh, here we go. This is my, I don't know, it could either be my valve block or it could be my cable. I'm not too sure, I have to have a look. Okay, so I thought it would be this cable because like I cut it and soldered it and stuff, and I've just been through and probed it all. Sounds a bit like alien invasion type stuff, to make sure everything is correct like this. So on this blue wire here, I just put a little probe in that end, and then over here I've got that unplugged and sticking out here. Yeah, it's a bit of a balancing act. It's not quite long enough. I think it's still on the blue wire. Hang on. I did it a minute ago. I went through and did all eight wires in each plug. So it went something like that. So I got that on every single wire. So that leads me to believe that it's probably something to do with the wiring on the valve block itself, which is equally annoying. So how do I test that? So that's all this stuff here. Left, right. So that narrows my search a little bit. If I can unplug this and then unplug the valve block, and then I can basically, so it's my left side that's not working. So get that out of there. I'll have to cut that zip tie. Get that out of there. So of course I ran it all nice and neat up under there and all that kind of stuff. So it's only that one that I want to feed back through. Is that going to be a mission or what? Hang on, I might be able to unplug the valve block and feed it in here. That had to undo the earth so I could bring it all the way through so I can get to both sides. Now there was a bit of paper that I dug out earlier which might help me. So I need left rear. Is that my plug or is these my? So it's left. Right, so I need to go through and figure out what's what. That's the block. Up, red, yellow, white and brown. But I didn't. Red, yellow, white and brown. So we've got big red, white there, yellow. There's brown. Purple, is that brown? So now I need to really figure out what's going on. What I have done when I've joined these wires together, and there's possibly either a bad connection or a bad wire, so I'll sit and do some probing with all this stuff and see what I can make sense of, hopefully, and eliminate this as a problem. If not, it could be in the actual valve block itself, because I did take that apart as well. So I'm trying to figure it out. Anyway, I'll persevere ahead, and we'll let you know once I've kind of eliminated this problem. Okay, so I was probing the wrong plugs. These are the sensor plugs. This is the plug that corresponds with my little previous drawing. So it's left rear up that I want. So it's that orange wire there that I need to figure out whether it is connecting properly to something over there. So I'll carry on trying to figure that out. Okay, so just been like checking all the pinouts on the cable that goes from the valve block to the brain, and that's fine. So there's my cables all seem to be good, like, you know, my harness to my valve block to the brain, and then from the brain to the control. So it leaves kind of two things. There's either problem with the switch on the control on the panel, or there's a problem with the valve block itself, or potentially I've still got a wire going to the wrong place in the valve block. So I don't know if I can get does this thing come apart. I probably can take that apart and maybe test that before I pull the valve block out. So I'll give it a look. Okay, so took the cover off, but it doesn't actually get me very far. But I can sort of see how that works. It's just like those buttons are like a little sort of thing that closes that circuit. It's not even like a micro switch, it's more just like a little circuity thing. So I don't know that that's the problem, so I'll put this back together and yeah, hopefully it'll be right. The other side is there's only 2 screws holding it together, which means someone's been into this before, which means this could have been a problem as to why it was put up for sale, if you know what I mean. So I'll just put this back together and see if I can do any more sort of troubleshooting. Only 2 screws in there, so tiny little wee fellas as well, like that. Little weeny Phillips head things. Actually, I vaguely remember when I bought this was loose and I tightened it back up. So I'm wondering if the previous owner had this issue as well. What I can do, I guess, is maybe hook the harness back up, the cable into this, the little controller harness. Sorry, I'm concentrating on trying to get this little screw done up. It's difficult. Oh, didn't catch it. Yeah, if I plug the harness back in and kind of do a bit of probing and see if I can get it to register the button being pushed through the harness, then that hopefully will tell me that it's either this or then the what do you call it, the valve block, maybe. Come on, why didn't that do it? Maybe I'll screw that in on the other side. Anyway, I'll spend the next 3 hours getting these bloody little screws in. Come on, get in there. Okay, so not really having any joy like trying to probe this sort of thing. Like I was trying to put a probe into that end of the cable there, that thing there, and then push buttons on stuff here to see if it kind of like gave me, you know, like a switched thing, but it's not really working. It doesn't really do anything. So I'm kind of yeah, I don't know, it could just be a shitty connection in there somewhere that I can't see because it's like circuit boards and crap, and that's like whew, over the top of this head, man. So I don't really know what to do. I could put it all back together and try it again and just see whether it was a bad fitting, bad, plug in somewhere, and see what happens. But I'm getting real hungry, so I might go and have some lunch. Hey guys, so back on the bench with this. I plugged it all back in, and even less of it worked this time. I actually think it's something to do with this controller, this little brain box, well, this little display thing. I do remember when I got this, the outer cover was loose, and I kind of thought that was a bit odd, but what I suspect now is it was probably giving someone problems, and they ripped it all out and did away with the air ride on their Impala. Well, the wrong bloody tool. No wonder it won't come undone. I'm trying to use a flathead on a Phillips or a dipstick. Bigger dipstick for buying second-hand junk, and then waiting 4 or 5 years to see if it works. Finally figured out there's 4 more screws in this thing, so to be able to take it apart. Don't know what I'm gonna see when I take it apart, but can't hurt it anymore. But yeah, I think the computer side of things is working. Actually, the sensors weren't working for the one rear side that would lift. So don't know what I'm going to do with that. I was thinking, I lost one. If this whole system didn't work, that I would go to a basic old school sort of system with just a toggle switch controller, like a 6-button controller, and split gauges and stuff like that. Also inside this case, or the lid, like 2 of the screw things have already broken off, which again is something that someone else has been in here before me. There we go. Okay, so more clear evidence. I have no idea what I'm looking at. It's got a doohickey for the What's-It, and it's got some other doodads that do the thing, and it's got a chip in it and some little diodes. Even my glasses aren't good enough to be able to make any sense of this. I can't see anything particularly burnt out or anything like that, but with this kind of gadgetry, it doesn't take much for them to not work anymore, if you know what I mean. I had the cover off before, and I was trying all different buttons on the left up sort of thing, because it's just like those little black dots. They do, I think, is kind of close the circuit on. Hopefully the camera will focus on it, on these little like horseshoey looking things on the circuit board. I'll put the tip of that next to one, so like those things there, and they're just a switch, so they switch the switch and all the stuff goes through the chips and things like that and tells it what to do. But yeah, nothing obviously obvious that I can see. I might spend a little time tracing some of these little circuit lines around and see what I can see. So that one there goes, is it plugged in or is it soldered in? I think it might be soldered. Yeah, so I wouldn't even know where to start, like looking for little burnt out doodads. Oh, that one could just be a little mark. Oh no, that's just a marking on it. There's 2 others exactly the same, unless they're all burnt out. Yeah, there we have it. I think this is the problem. Double checked and triple checked and went through all my wiring for everything else, and it all seems to be good. But yeah, it's just that which is kind of vital. And from what I can tell on the Ride Tech website, they do not support this model anymore, being that it was previous company's tech, I guess. And yeah, so it's kind of like too old school, I think. So I've got the front stuck up in the air and the back sitting on the ground. So I'm not quite sure how I get around that now. Just cross over some wires and try and figure out how to make it do some stuff somehow. Maybe. Yeah. Well, that's a little disappointing. Really not having much luck with stuff at the moment on this car. I just really want to win. Maybe I should just, I don't know, get into model trains or something. Okay, so yeah, I've just been doing some more testing and probing and playing around and stuff, and I just think that maybe this particular little piece of kit might be no good, which is a pain for many reasons, because I might not even put it back together, to be honest. I just put it in a plastic bag, because yeah, I'm kind of a bit screwed now as far as the air ride goes. All the hardware stuff seems to be good, and you know, the main brain seems to be doing brainy stuff. Not all of the sensors, well, I can't tell the left rear sensor, but definitely the right rear sensor. The right rear sensor, I'm getting air into it through there, but there's nothing coming up on the gauge, so it's not giving me a reading as such. So I might have to do a bit of homework and see what other options I've got. I don't want to go out and spend $3,000 on another setup like this. By the time I got that landed here, it'd be looking $6,000-7,000 New Zealand, and that's a lot of coin. So I'm going to cheap out and find a cheap fix for this. I want gauges, so I want to be able to see what each pressure is in each corner. I'll do a similar system to I had on my old C15, which was 4 corners up, 4 corners down, and then a single toggle, which was sort of I had a 6-button control, so I could go each corner individually, even though they're not legally supposed to be able to do that here, which is stupid. And I could do front up, front down, rear up, rear down, and that's what I'll probably end up doing, wiring something in like that, which is I was kind of hoping this would work, because having the presets would be pretty good, but if I know what kind of pressure I like to run on the front, like I did with my old C15, I'd just chuck 80 pounds in the front, 30 in the back, or 40 in the back, or whatever it was most comfortable at. That C15 actually liked to have 110 in the front and 30 in the back, so it was light in the ass. But yeah, so that might be where I end up having to call it on this particular video until I can get some stuff sorted out. Pretty gutted. I actually paid good coin for that air ride system. Well, not really. I paid coin for it, and I haven't really been able to use any of it. What have I used? Compressors. And I'm only looking at running one of them, and solenoid and stuff. So yeah, unless I'll do a bit of digging around, see if I can get one of these, a new display. Doesn't mean that my sensors aren't bad too. That's why I'm not getting any pressure in the back. So yeah, I need gauges. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave this riveting install part 3 now on the air ride system, and it's still not working. So thanks heaps for persevering and yeah, watching me fail again and again and again. On the upside though, the video I put out now as right now is last Monday, which was just the Winter Blast swap meet walk around. They got, at this point in time, there's 50 new subscribers have come on board, mostly from New Zealand too. So welcome aboard, guys. And it blew up, like for my little channel, it blew up. So at this point in time, it's done just under 4,000 views, which is, and it was, I actually wasn't even going to do that video because I just thought, I'm not going to be doing much. I'm just going to take some videos, some cars, and maybe buy some junk. And yeah, for some reason it resonates with a lot of people. Well, for 4.5 minutes anyway, that was the average duration. So anyway, as always, thanks heaps for watching. Thanks heaps for watching. I've got to enunciate my words better. And subscribe if you haven't done already. Like, share, comment. If you got any insight or you know where I could get one of these from, let us know in the comments. But I will most likely have thrown good money after bad by the time this particular video comes out about my Air Ride Technologies issues, meaning issues. Peace.